Are you ready to explore about this felon case
Mm-hmm.
that might
Yeah.
undermine gun control forever and make them lose their minds from the inside out?
Oh, this is good stuff.
Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Okay, so this is number 9 as we go into this segment. She lost her gun rights for passing a bad check. Now she wants the Supreme Court to restore them. Now, the thing that I like about this, and I'm really excited to talk to you about it, is this is almost the exact opposite of the Rahimi case. You remember that case, right?
Vaguely.
That the SCOTUS just heard. Okay, so the SCOTUS just heard for about the Rahimi case around Second Amendment. The whole idea was domestic abusers get guns, don't get guns because of misdemeanors versus felonies, and he's like the worst human alive, right? Well, it goes to the SCOTUS, and the gun controllers use that and they make hay on it and say, "Look how bad this person is. Very, very bad person taken in front of the SCOTUS." This is like the inverse. Okay, this woman wrote
Has
a
the
bad
Supreme
check
Court ruled on that?
like 20 years ago. Not yet. They
I didn't
heard that.
think
They
so.
heard the
That's-
hearing.
Yeah. Okay.
No, they
Because I
haven't
didn't think
ruled
it had
yet.
gone
They
to the
just
court
heard it.
yet. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. No, you're good. So they've heard it, but it was like
They have an
like
issue.
a train wreck. It was just like, oh man,
Right.
this guy's such a piece of crap. This is the opposite. Okay, so let me tell you about this Utah woman. Listen, let me show you what she is, and then the potential here is what I'm excited that we talk about. A Utah woman convicted of a felony for trying to cash a fake check in 2008 has taken her fight to own a gun to the Supreme Court. Her attorneys filed a petition for review with the High Court last week on this question, so this is the end of December, whether the Second Amendment allows the federal government to permanently disarm petitioner Melinda Vincent, who has a 15-year-old nonviolent felony conviction for trying to cash a bad check. So this is a nonviolent felony, writing a bad check, and the number was $498.12.
Yeah.
That's what she's lost her gun rights over. So now here's the question. Nonviolent felons in something like a financial crime with writing a check that's over a certain amount, where do you stand on that, Tim? What do you think? I'm curious.
No, well, first of all, I think just in general, if you serve your time and they release you and you've served your debt, you've paid your debt to society, then all rights should be restored. Your Second Amendment rights, your right to vote, everything. And of course, the left will push, well, we'll give you your right to vote back, but we're not going to give you your guns back. We need your vote.
Not the gun right.
Yeah. So it's look, and this is a perfect case for the Supreme Court, because here we have, as it says, a nonviolent felony. Somebody wrote a bad check for $498. I mean, you can steal more from Target today, and they won't even charge you in most cities right now. But yet she, 15 years ago, lost her rights due to this. And now we're going to have the Supreme Court decide whether or not, if you have a felony conviction, whether or not you can have your rights restored. Now, hopefully, the judgment that they issue doesn't say, well, nonviolent felonies, yes, violent felonies, no. I don't know that, again, I firmly believe that if you've paid your debt to society and if you're safe enough to be released back into the public, then you're safe enough to have your rights restored. And if you can't go along with that, then I think you have a problem.
Right. So now listen to this. This is where it gets really, really interesting. Remember, there's two different things when you're looking at these cases, people. You've got the actual case they took to the Supreme Court, but you also have the sympathy element of, is this person afflicted by the system worse because of undue process, right? In the Rahimi case, it's like, okay, you're a really bad dude. This kind of colors the case a little bit. In this scenario, it's like, okay, what in the world's going on here? Listen to a little bit more about this woman here. Since she wrote the bad check, this is number 12. With a new lease on life, she earned a behavioral science degree from Utah Valley University, followed by a master's in social work from the University of Utah. She opened a private practice in therapy and counseling. In 2018, she completed a master's degree in public administration at the university. Vincent is the founder and executive director of the Utah Harm Reduction Coalition, a nonprofit that works to develop science-driven drug and criminal justice reform policies. She also started the first legal syringe exchange service in the state. Get me a better candidate to go.
I know, right?
Good Lord.
When the left goes to malign this person, it's not going to go well for them.
Right. Right. It's like, get me a better I don't think that you can.
Yeah.
Like, this is fantastically good. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, this is interesting. Now, that's the case. That's why it's the perfect candidate.
Yes.
This is where it gets really fascinating for what Amy Coney Barrett has said previously, one of the sitting SCOTUS's justice, all right? In a dissenting opinion in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals case before she joined the High Court, Barrett concluded that only people convicted of dangerous felonies should lose their right to keep and bear arms. She traced the history of the Second Amendment and the punishing of convicted felons to colonial times. History, she wrote, is consistent with common sense that legislatures have the power to prohibit dangerous people from from possessing guns, but the power extends only to people who are dangerous. Quote, in some founding era legislatures categorically disarm groups whom they judge to be a threat to the public safety, Barrett wrote, but neither the convention proposals nor historical practice supports a legislative power to categorically disarm felons because of their status as felons. So she's actually taking what you were just saying.
She's splitting
she's
that
saying,
hair. Yep.
Split the hair, violent versus non-violent. And I think that that's where this case is so intriguing, because you're not talking about any type of violence. So from the public lens, you're not talking about the potential avenue of, well, they were violent before, but they're not going to be violent now. Here's the felony. Here's the violent felony. No, she wrote a bad check. What they're essentially talking about here, and what Amy Coney Barrett was talking about in this dissent, was splitting the nonviolent from the violence. I mean, you're talking about, I don't know the percentage split, but that's what she wrote.
Think about where we're at in 2024. We just talked about this earlier in this very episode.
I'm in Florida.
Words are violence. Silence is violence. You are in Florida. Quit rubbing it in. But silence is violence. Words are violence. All these things are violence. So if we use that as a standard under 2024 definitions, then farting in public could be a violent assault against somebody, and therefore you're going to lose your Second Amendment rights if you're convicted of farting on somebody, because they keep lowering the bar of what a felony is and what's violence. Because if you ask somebody on the left, everything in the world is violence if it's being done by somebody on the right. Now, you can burn entire cities, and that's mostly peaceful if you have the leftist mind virus. But if you're on the right side of the spectrum...
That was for warmth.
Yeah, it was just cold.
Keep
it was
bringing it up. They were
totally
cold.
Innocent.
You keep bringing it up. It was a non-violent protest. They needed some warmth. They were outside, Tim. You are so unfeeling.
I'm very violent because I chose my words poorly, and they were violent words.
You are.
And therefore, I probably...
bad words.
Yeah. Under Justice Barrett's purview, I might not have my right to own a firearm anymore because of all the violence I've spewed in this one video. Yes.
That's true. That's true. You are very violent. Like, I just hope we don't bring up any orange squares later for Goofy Gun Grabber.
You're going to keep saying that. I'm going to say the word. And I'm going to keep saying the word, and it's just going to be like a series of beeps for 5 minutes.
And then I'm also going to have Dr. Button Pusher just put a little black square over your face so we can't read your lips too. Oh, I will. Don't you tempt me. Don't you tempt me. But anyway, in the end here, Tim, can you think of a better person to take to the Supreme Court for this type of content?
This is ideal. And
I can't.
Yeah, and we've talked about this, right? We've talked about how these cases get to the courts, and first of all, you have to have standing, and you have to have been negatively affected by a law or an action by a government entity before you have standing and can even bring the court case. A court case just got dismissed. I read the news this morning regarding the whole Trump on the ballot thing, and they dismissed the case because the person that brought the case, the judge claimed didn't have standing. So here, this person has standing, and this person is also an upstanding community member that had a bad check writing episode 15 years ago. I mean, 15 years ago, checks were in common use, and I think everybody has written a bad check at one point in their life or another. And it many times it's not even malicious; it's just it happened, right? You overdrew your account, so we don't know what happened there. But still, $500 today, like I said, you can walk into a Target in San Francisco and steal up to I think was it $900? I don't even know what the number is. It's stupid.
I think it's nine. I think the number is it's either 900 or 1,000.
Right, and you can just steal that right out of the store, and you're not going to get charged with anything, much less a felony. To hear this woman. So yeah, perfect case, perfect person.